Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, the Mistress of Horror here, author Tillery. And welcome to my August podcast. And the place where I update you what's going on my channel, what's going on with my releases, what's going on with my debut novel, and all the other things in between. Let's jump into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about topic is this new thing that's going around. I guess it's not that new to be honest with you, but it's being talked about more recently because of some of the newer versions of it, I should say. And that is the AI art that's been going around. And I actually subscribe to Mid Journey, which is done through Discord, where you put prompts in of what you want the AI to create, and then it does that based off your wording, and it's different every time. And then you can up-res them what you get, and you can do different variations, and so on and so forth. Also, there's another one out there called Wibbo or something like that, but I do use Midjourney. And I was just playing with it. I did the basic package, which is like $10 a month or something, just to see what it was because I'm very interested in art, especially I love science and technology, so I'm always interested to see what things can do. Um, so there's a lot of talk going around about that, about cover artists trying to use it, and not just people having fun with it. So my 2 cents on that subject. As a hobbyist artist, I am not a paid artist of any type. I do draw and I do chalk drawings. I do paint sometimes on the side for just stress relief reasons. And so I only count myself as a hobbyist artist. I am a professional performance artist, so I do understand art and all the things that goes with that. Um, so my 2 cents on the subject of some people losing their minds. They're like, oh my goodness, this is the worst thing ever, and the people going to take people's jobs. This AI is going to take people's jobs, and it's going to replace these artists. And I think everyone needs to calm down, in my opinion, because every time something new or anything technological comes around, people lose their minds and get threatened by it, or whatever the case may be. There are a lot of things that come along with this AI art. Some people talk out of their head, some people talk based on what they think they know. You really shouldn't speak on things unless you have that information behind it, because then later you come back looking kind of foolish. But to say that, people shouldn't use it, or, this, and this, I mean, people using it for different things. Now, I've seen some artists online who have shown how it's just as much transformative as if you did Photoshop. Like if you bought a picture of someone, or you bought a like art by someone on the internet, which they do have these things that people buy photos online to make book covers, and then they manipulate them, and then they change them, and they draw over them, and all these different things to make book covers. Not the direct artists who draw or illustrate a cover and then themselves fix it up and then sell it, but like the people who do Photoshop art and then sell book covers that way. Um, I think maybe that area might feel more threatened by this, but I don't think it's a need for anybody to feel threatened. There is space for everybody. So if someone wants to purchase a cover that is based from AI art, then that's them. And then you have people saying, well, there's no protection for AI art as far as copyright. And I'm kind of like, well, who is going to do a Mid-Journey, let's say art, and then not edit it at all? If you're doing that, you shouldn't do that with anything. Like if you're going to get, let's say you're going to go get some photos from one of the stock photo websites, and then you're just going to pay for it and then throw it on a cover and then put words on top of it. You didn't really do much of anything. That'd be the same concept, in my opinion. If you didn't do anything to make that your own, to transform it, to make it something different, then it's very similar, in my opinion, again. So if someone purchases, they have a subscription and they have the license that they can give you as much as possible with creating that and then you don't put it out anywhere else, and then you take it and you design it and make it into a cover, and you draw over it, you paint it, you change it, you done transformed it into something else that doesn't exist anywhere else. How are they then going to try to tell you that it's not protected by you creating it? Like, that's sound like a bunch of hogwash to me, and also people being defensive of what this is. So I think everyone needs to calm down. If they don't want to use it, don't use it. But don't tell someone else that they shouldn't use it. And yes, they can be honest about if that's what they're going to sell to a person. That's what they should do anyway. Like, you kind of have to do that if you're using Diaz, or if you're using stock photos, and you kind of say that's what you're doing anyway. So if you're using AI art as your basis to create a cover, then you can say that. I don't see why it's not protected all of a sudden, because you're like, oh, well, there's no copyright laws for AI art. No one's just going to take the AI art that they typed in words. The AI created it, and you're just going to put it up on a thing. Like, and some people probably will do that, but let's just be honest. Like, as the author who's looking for a cover, you should, be looking at what you're buying and asking questions. So, again, I don't think it's bad. I think that we need to stop with the rhetoric that when something new comes around, we lose our minds, collective minds, and say, like, oh, let's not do this. But we can't advance anywhere. We can't get better. We can't get technologically better if we are afraid of everything all the time. Like, when things advance, we need to listen and look and learn before we start disputing something and just saying it doesn't work. Especially when it comes down to the art world, I don't think it's a problem when something can be transformative, which it would have to be anyway, because that's how that works. And now, if you go on YouTube and you look up people who use Midjourney's art, and or the other one, Wibbo, I think it is, then you can see how it can be transformed and not look anything like what the basis was. So there's no way that then entity would not be protected based on just the basic copyright for you creating something. So I think people need to stop with that and just give something a chance. And again, if you don't like it, then don't like it, but don't say that nobody should use it. But that's just my 2 cents. So I think it's cool. I've created some things with it just to see. I think it's cool just to see what I say and then it makes. Like, it's really cool. So anyway, moving on to my next topic. That one was a little long-winded. My releases. So I did release Fractals solo this year. It came out what was that, July the 26th. So it's almost been out a month. It did decent. I have done a little bit of advertising, more than I did for Room Within. My own advertising, so technically free advertising. And it did well. And well, to me, I mean, based on what I could do myself. And it's still just a test baby. Not to mention, in all honesty, I am a multi-genre writer. I know everyone knows me as the Mistress of Horror, and I did explain to people what that means. It means I am married to all the other genres, but I am the Mistress of Horror. So you'll see horror from me, but that doesn't mean that's all I'm ever going to write. Doesn't mean that's all I'm going to put it out. My debut novel itself is dark fantasy, so it's not just horror. But my first 2 short stories that were released were horror and are horror. So horror is a niche, like, genre of readers. So, it's a little hard to test if you're going to do very well when you release horror or short horror, just individual by itself. If you release, like, maybe a horror collection, then you can probably base it better on that. But I was testing the water as to what I need to teach myself to be able to do when I do my debut novel for Caliostro. I don't really want to dupe it, so I kind of really want to be careful and learn before I release that. So I've been studying a lot of different stuff, and seeing what my reach was. Now, in my own, like, area of people I can reach, I technically have about, I would say, 5,500 people that I can technically reach. That's it from my social medias together, and then my newsletter. So with that, I don't know how many numbers people think would people get you sales within the first 2 to 3 weeks. Technically, the people that would buy is, like, and it's horror. Again, maybe if I was putting out something like romance or, sci-fi or something else, then more people would be interested in buying it. I mean, people, no one's really like the type like, well, I'm just going to support an indie author and get this 99-cent book. That's not really realistic. So you're going to have to at least have people who want to for real read it, and not just people willing to give a chance to read some genre they never read before. Let's just be honest, not a lot of people are going to read horror anyway. But even with that number I have of people that can see my stuff when I advertise, it's the sales for that without me reaching outside of my area is still low. I mean, it barely could reach 100 out of 5,500 people. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I kind of figured that. So even with that, it's not too surprising. It was expected. So I've been looking into different avenues for my releases to see how I can get out of my box of people to advertise to. So of course I'm looking at story origin to help do newsletter swaps. I've only done newsletter swap with one other um, author. So I actually will be having his book in my next newsletter, and he's having Fractals in his next newsletter. So I need to reach out to some other authors that are similar genres to me. But the thing is, I am a multi-genre, so technically that could work either way. I am known for horror at the moment, but again, I explained to people that that is my brand. But I'm a writer of many genres. So I plan to be reaching out to some other authors in my community, hopefully, to see if they want to newsletter swap each other to help each other advertise. I am just starting out, so I don't have like a big following for my newsletter. I'm growing slowly, but I am growing. So I will be reaching out to a few people that I know, and then I'm going to try to start a account with Story Origin, so that's really a good build for your newsletter for readers who are interested in reading. So I'm going to look into that before I release Caliostro, and just different other avenues. Now, I even looked into a PR company. I wanted to get pricing, and I didn't actually get a price. I looked up Savvy. Was it? I think they're called like something about Savvy Publishing. Savvy's PR something books. I can't remember. It's like Savvy Books PR. It's like for authors. So they're like a firm, I guess a firm for like PR and for marketing for books. But like they don't have any prices on their website. So I guess they want you to contact them. So I did contact them to see if they can give me prices. And they kind of still beat around the bush with the initial email that took a couple days to get. And they were like, well, they wanted to, my website link, and they wanted to know the title of the book and the genre and stuff like that. But to me, I was wondering, like, don't you have a basic price package, or don't you? So are you just going to base your prices on the author's information, which doesn't seem, that seems weird to me, because I run businesses, so it seems a little weird to me that you don't have a basic price packages that you can give to authors who are looking for a PR company. But I don't know why PR should be marketing, because I don't need a PR person. That's public relations. It's not the same thing. But so I was like, okay. I kind of got turned off about it. It seemed a little gatekeepy. But that's just the way I kind of took it, because they didn't answer my question. And if you couldn't answer my question, you should say you couldn't answer my question instead of you wanting information from me when I don't even know if I'm interested in hiring you. It's really based on the price you give me. So me going through the channels of giving you that information just so you can check out something that we're not even going to work together on seemed kind of blah to me. So anyway, that's the few things I've been checking in and studying into just to see, so I can have the information, because the more information I have, the more I can help my debut novel do well. So, in that instance, my releases are as stands. I did want to release my poetry collection this year, which is still a couple months left in the year. I did want to possibly release When the Night Cries, the first book by winter, but I'm looking more probably winter next year for that. And I mean, that could be winter, like early winter. I don't know yet, because I really don't like to give release dates for sure unless I know I'm going to release the book. And that one's still being finished. So I have plenty of other things that's kind of finished already that I don't know if I want to release them yet, because I want to make sure that I have my marketing a little bit better before I start releasing my full books. So if I release anything else this year, it's probably going to be poetry related, probably my poetry collection. Now, I don't know if I want to release that yet, and I do have other projects that I have written, like my short horror collection, because I have quite a few of my short horror stories completed that have not been released yet. So I'm thinking about releasing that later this year, closer to when I would release Caliostro. And that brings me to what my next segment is about. So, as always, there's always a segment for Caliostro in most cases, and that's what this one is. So, moving on to segment number 3, Caliostro's update. So, Caliostro, sadly, I decided to push back when I planned to release it, and it was not the easiest decision, but it's the best decision for my book, I believe. Due to like budgeting and cost and other things that I want to make sure that I do for it, is going to be pushed back to 2023 release. I don't want to say which month, because right now I did want to release all of the versions of Caliostro at least back to back or at the same time. So that means I have to be able to go through Ingham Spark. And I also need to go through, KDP. I need to purchase my ISBN numbers, because if you're only releasing through Amazon, you don't need to worry about purchasing ISBN numbers. And since I'm not just releasing through them for my debut novel and my other bigger books, I'm going to purchase ISBNs, which is money, and then advertising. So the marketing advertising aspects of me trying to see what my reach was with Fractals was kind of discerning for a debut novel. It's fine for my little like short horror story novels, but not okay for me as far as Caliostro goes. So if my reach is only, let's say, 100 people that's going to buy my books within a 3-week period of the launch of one, then I need to be able to have more people I can reach that are going to purchase. So that would tell me that my market, the people that I know that are following me, aren't interested in buying what I put out so far. Even if they saw it, they don't really buy it or something like that. So that tells me they aren't interested in horror, or they just aren't interested in what I'm putting out, which is fine. But that means I need to reach other people who are interested. So that tells me, okay, right now, if I put Caliostro out and I only market it the way I market it with what I released so far, then I'm only going to sell 100 copies from myself, like within the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks of launch. Not good enough. So, I am working on building, readers that I can get to. So I don't want my book to just sit. I do want many people to read it as possible. It's not about me making the money. It's about me. I'm spending a lot of money, and Caliostro is going to cost me a lot of money, but I want people to be able to read and know that my book is out there. And if I don't advertise it or be able to market it to those people who are interested, then it's just sitting there, So with that knowledge, I am going to continue to learn over the next amount of time to see how much I can grow my reach. And I'll continue to do that with my short stories that I currently have. So, that's why I push back Caliostro, because I want to make sure that I give it the best launch I can give it. And the more knowledge I have, the more budget I have, then I can do it better, Not that I did ARC reviews or anything with Fractals, because it's such a small thing, I wasn't going to do that. But I do have that in the Caliostro plan, so I will be, of course, doing that whole setting where I, send out e-copies of Caliostro to people who I want to be on my ARC team, which I'll be finding and reaching out to people that way, so that way you can have that, those reviews the day it releases and things like that. So I'm going to do my best to build the best marketing plan I can, and that's why I pushed it back. I don't want to rush it, because honestly, there's no rush to get your book out. You just want to have a good launch. There's no such thing like I have to get it out by this point. I'm not going to do that to it. So I'm going to treat it with the respect it deserves after all the work I put into it. So yes, so Caliostro's new planned release date is 2023. I'm not going to give a month until I know for sure that is actually ready to come out at this point. That doesn't mean to say I'm not going to release anything else in between there, because I do plan to. So there's just going to be small things though that won't take so much draw for me. I mean, I do pay good money for my covers and stuff like that, but again, I'm not going to not release anything. So there will be a few things coming, and as they are planned, I'll let you know a good amount in advance. But yeah, so that's where Caliostro is right now. I finished the final edits from my editor, so it is ready to go. The next phase for it is to be formatted by the formatter. Of course, like I said, the cover's done. They just have to start getting the rest of the marketing package together. That's like the marketing merchandise. Places I'm going to market it, the budget for Ingram Spark, and all the other things that come together to make sure that everything goes down well. So yeah, I'll be planning all that and working on that stuff behind the scenes coming up. So looking forward to doing all that and releasing Caliostro next year. At the latest, I would think Caliostro will come out by October next year. But if it's before that, I'll let you know. But you'll know 3 months at the minimum before it comes out. If I can let you know before that, I totally will. But yeah. So if anyone who's interested, who has a channel, who's so happen to be listening to my podcast, who's interested in dark fantasy, it does have a mystery and undertone of a subplot of romance in it, but it is not a romance, even if it does have romantic elements to some people. But it is dark fantasy. So if you are a person who has a YouTube channel or a blog or whatever, and you think you'd be interested in being an ARC reader, I am taking people's names and emails currently to build up a list of people who are interested, who will be willing to read it, and then give an honest review on the day it launches. So I am taking names now. Of course, I won't be reaching out for the Team ARC members yet, but I will be taking names and emails. So if you are interested in that, you can shoot me a comment in the comment section, and I will reach out to you and then get your information. Or you can shoot me an email at authordltillery@gmail.com, and then I can put you on the list, because I would love for anybody who'd be interested in being an ARC reader who is serious to take up that mantle. Definitely would appreciate any interest whatsoever, and you get a free copy of Caliostro, so that's always cool too. Alright, so on to the last segment of this one. This is one of my longer podcasts. So the final topic is my channel and what's going on there. So I'm having like a gap in between my releases. I used to like to release at least once a week, but it's become like a 2-week thing, or I release 2 videos in 1 week. And so I may not release one again for until the 3rd week or something like that. So it's kind of back and forth, since I'm so very busy right now. So like now at this point, like you'll get my a few videos back to back, like the end of the month. It happens because my schedule clears up where I can record and do all those things. But I am going to be updating my book tour. So I haven't updated my book tour series in a while, because I had to have time to actually record the books, and so I finally got to do that. That one actually that one released already. So that one should be up on my channel when this comes out. And so if you haven't checked out my next book tour, please check it out. If you haven't seen my book tour series, then check all those out. I do have about 5,000 books, growing still. So I'll probably be doing a book haul video again sometime this year. I don't do those too often. I usually wait until I get at least 25 books that I've purchased over the time, and then do one of those book haul videos. So look for that video if you haven't seen it already. Of course, then there's this one. I still do my monthly podcast at least, and I've added a new show called Lair of the Mistress, where I read my dark poetry readings. So that one's doing okay. So I was watching it and making sure and seeing how it did. It did decent, so some people are interested. So I'm still only going to do it once a month, unless it grows bigger where people are really showing more interest in clicking and viewing. If they are, then I may up it to twice a month, and then if it grows more, then I'll do it once a week. So I'm really watching it and seeing if it does well. So if it does do well, then I'll continue to do it once a month, until, like, if it really does pick up, then again I'll start doing it more frequently. So if you are interested, make sure you go watch it and like it and stuff, so that way I know that people are interested in viewing it. And as you know, I do usually do CGLHorror, which is a spinoff of the original CGL from Barrett Laura's channel, but I didn't have really any submissions, and I didn't want to just read my own stuff on the show. So I just put it on a sabbatical until I get a submission or some submissions. So it is supposed to come back for next month because I did finally get a submission from a writer. So I am going to have CGLHorror next month in September. So that's good that I'll be back and for that. So it's going to be off and on. I'm really going to base it on when I get submissions from horror writers or people who are writing horror or trying horror or have horror elements in their stories and they want to submit. Then I will have the show. But until then, you will have Lair of the Mistress to get your dark stuff from me. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing with the channel currently. And of course, like I said, when I do my podcast like this, I do updates on what's going on with my journey as a writer. So, I mean, that's where I am right now. I've been trying to find time for myself to de-stress because my life has a lot of stuff going on. It's really stressful. So I actually recently got back into playing my video games finally. I've always been a big gamer. And I play a lot of horror games too. So if you check my Instagram, you may see me have a post on me posting something about something horror. Like I played The Query this week. And I mostly game on Saturdays now. This is back to school season. So I have a daughter who's 6. She is in the 1st grade. So I do homeschool. So I run a business. I'm actually starting some side businesses besides my main business. So I am very busy, plus my writing and editing and things like that I'm trying to do. So I'm very, very busy. So that's why the channel has like a flow fluctuation right now, which I'm trying to get my schedule back in order. But it's kind of like I don't upload every week right now because, I mean, technically people aren't watching every week. They watch the videos when they watch them. So sometimes I may upload the last 3 weeks of the month where I upload one video a week. So I mean, 1 week I may not upload anything, or maybe 2 weeks I don't upload anything. That's where I am right now. But as the end of the year comes into play, then I start uploading more. But as an active writer and business owner, it's not like this is my business. So that's why I'm not as active where I'm uploading every week. But, you know, if you ring the bell, then you'll get the ding that I've uploaded something. I always will be uploading something. But again, it's not my work. So I kind of have to, you know, prioritize what I'm doing. So that being said, I do make time to do my podcast. My Lair of the Mistress will be done. And I am back to doing my book tour, which is eventually that will end at least. But, you know, it's going to keep eventually adding because I honestly keep buying books. So that's always going to be a thing, I guess. Anyway, so that's where I am for this month. So we're at the end of August. We are ready to go into September. So soon we will be hitting fall. And soon it'll be Halloween. I think I might do something special for Halloween this year, actually. So I'm going to look into that. You know, being a Mistress of Horror, I got to do something, I'm sure. Anyway, thanks for listening. And I will talk to you all later. Let me know what you're up to. Leave me a comment. And I will comment back. I love to check my comment section. All right, so I'll check you next time. Stay scared.